Have you ever heard of vibe coding? Because AI can build your website in 20 minutes, and that same website that you built based on vibes can actually quietly kill your search authority that you've been building for years. So, today we are talking about vibe coding because I want you to know all the new flashy tools out there may have a purpose, but they also may have a downside. Welcome to Coffee and Conversions, the podcast for millennial moms building something meaningful alongside real life. We're talking web design, SEO, Pinterest, and organic marketing, the behind-the-scenes systems to help your business get seen without taking over your life. I'm Julie, the founder of PNW Designs. I'm a Minnesota mom working full-time in corporate America, actually in finance, while growing my business on the side. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that growth doesn't come along from doing more. It comes from doing what actually works. Most of my business ideas start with coffee, and this podcast is all about strategies that actually convert, hence coffee and conversions. It's not about hustle for the sake of hustle, and it's not about pretty things that don't perform. So grab your coffee, pop in your headphones, and let's get into today's episode. So welcome back to the Coffee and Conversions podcast. I'm Julie, and like I said, today we are talking about vibe coding, what it actually is, why it feels so good, why it's so fun, where it does help, and where it starts to work against you. From an SEO standpoint, from a UX standpoint, and from a conversion standpoint, because again, this is the Coffee and Conversions podcast. This is a little bit of a hot take, but it's also one of those conversations that I think more business owners need to hear before they go all in on having AI build their website. So first and foremost, if you haven't heard what is vibe coding? If you haven't heard this term, it is basically this. You tell AI what you want and it builds it for you. No coding knowledge, no developer knowledge, no waiting. I mean, maybe 5 minutes, but generally no waiting. Tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and platforms like Lovable are making this incredibly accessible. You can prompt, build me a landing page for this offer, and within minutes, you have something live. And honestly, it's pretty impressive. The layouts look good, the sections feel complete, and it feels like you've skipped a huge step of having to get a developer or a web designer like myself. And I get it. People are excited about it because for the first time, you're not blocked by tech. You can just build. And that feeling can be completely valid, but this is where we need to zoom out. Because vibe coding is a tool, it is not a strategy. And the gap between those two things, that's where most websites start to break. It's kind of the same reason why, I talk about how you can build your own website all of the time, but that doesn't mean you can build it to get seen. And I would say that analogy is very similar in the vibe coding realm, because AI will build exactly what you ask for. Nothing more, technically nothing less. So if you ask it for a clean, modern website, you'll get one. But what you won't automatically get is a site structured for search, a site built on conversions, copy that is human first, and designed around people that actually make decisions. And that's where there's a disconnect, because it looks done, but strategically and underneath in that actual code, it's probably not. So let's talk about what AI actually builds versus doesn't. So AI builds sections. It builds hero areas, featured blocks, testimonials, buttons. It can make it look really good. But what it doesn't build is the user journey. Unless you specifically prompt it, it's not going to understand what somebody's thinking when they land on your page, what they need to see next, how trust is built in the sequence, where confusion happens. And so you end up feeling, you may end up with a site that doesn't feel complete, or does feel complete, but it doesn't guide anyone anywhere. Or what I'm also seeing is I can immediately tell when I'm on a site if it's been vibe coded. There's just this vibe, lack of a better word. And that's not going to be conversion friendly, especially people want things to feel organic, to feel real, to feel like it's speaking directly to them and not something you just slapped up there. And generally, vibe coded websites are not going to do that for you. When we talk through vibe coding and what it's missing, this is also where UX strategy comes in, and that's user experience strategy, because good UX is not about how something looks. It's about clarity, flow, decision making, and it's AI is not thinking about assembling or strategizing or the keyword research or exactly how to do the copy, right? Where vibe coding is powerful is, I want to pause and say, like, I'm not anti-AI at all. I use AI. I like AI. I actually use AI a lot. There are places where vibe coding is genuinely incredible and useful. So let's walk through that first. So number one, sorry for the mic noise here, but number one, layout brainstorming. So instead of starting from scratch, or if I'm like, as I'm designing a website on a client's web design platform, I'd be like, give me 3 layout options for this service page, or give me 3 layout options for this about page text. That builds trust and leads to conversion. And now I'm not staring at a blank screen. I have direction. I have ideas. And it's a starting point. It's giving me that like creative brainstorming. Number 2, it can help you work around restrictive builders like Go High Level, for example. I've had a number of Go High Level clients recently, and Go High Level is one of those platforms that is not even necessarily drag and drop. It is kind of like the old WordPress UX builder design where you build in blocks. I don't know how else to say it for people who don't know backend, but it's super restrictive. It's super not fun to design it, especially if you're a show it designer like me. It just feels like you're like literally put in a box. And so one of the things that I've done, I'm working with a tech strategy consultant right now who actually does AI tech implementation, is her website does have a decent amount of back-end vibe coded sections on Go High Level. But what I'm doing and making sure, and we'll get to this too, is like making sure that all the back-end prompting is there so that it can be successful. So instead of fighting a builder like Go High Level, I am able to use custom coded section that the platform doesn't allow as a non-coder. And that's where it becomes a tool that can be absolutely amazing, is working with like really, hard web builders or restrictive web builders. The other thing you can do is create custom or interactive elements like styled FAQ sections, comparison blocks, unique layouts. It can help you build these faster. But again, you still have to decide why they're there, where they go, what they're supposed to do, and how the back-end coding works for header tags, etc. for SEO. If you're currently building your website with AI, this is the part that no one is telling you. The build is the easy part. The structure underneath, properly prompting it, properly making sure it is set up in the backend on the code, the structure underneath, that's what determines whether your site will actually work and will actually get seen. So again, you can make it look pretty, but will it actually get seen? And also, does it look like every other AI vibe coded website? I'm interrupting this episode because if you have Google Search Console and Google Analytics set up, but don't actually know what you're looking at or what it means, then this is for you. Or if you have a website, but the terms sound like Greek, then this is definitely for you. My SEO Tools Monitoring Guide walks you through step-by-step how to set up, connect, and most importantly, read your Google data so you can actually tell if your website is performing. No tech overwhelm, no vanity metrics. I show you exactly what to look for inside Google Search Console and Google Analytics, what those numbers mean, and how to use them to make smarter decisions without needing to be an SEO expert. If you want clarity instead of guessing, if you want instructions without having to ask your friend chat, then start here. You can grab the guide at buypwdesigns.com/SEO-monitoring-tools or linked in the show notes. Now back to the show. So let's talk about SEO, because obviously I'm an SEO strategist and this is where things get problematic. When I build your site, it does not automatically handle title tags, meta descriptions, heading structure. image alt text, internal linking, schema markups, all of it. It only exists if you intentionally create it. So it can do it. It just only exists if you intentionally create it. And most business owners don't, not because they're, choosing not to. It's because they don't know they need to. So what happens is again, you build a beautiful site, you hit publish, you feel done, but Google sees almost nothing. No signals, no context, no reason you're ranking. And SEO doesn't fail fast. It fails after a month or two of publishing, and you're finally seeing that traction and going, wait a minute, where'd my traction or traffic go? And the answer's been sitting on your page the whole time because you didn't know that you missed something. So let's get a little deeper. SEO isn't just the keywords, it's the behavior. Google is watching. Do they stay to scroll? Do they click? Do they leave? If your site looks good, people don't understand what to do next. That will impact your rankings. So when AI builds something that looks clean, feels complete, but has no intentional flow or UX strategy of what they should do next, you're losing conversions and you're hurting your SEO. Another thing, and this is a personal example, and this is actually what inspired this episode, I want to give you a real example of something that I've seen because it's happening a lot more than people realize. And I have a client right now building and refreshing her website on Go High Level with new branding, new UX strategy, new copy. And in the middle of this, she was launching how to build your own AI Dream Team course. While she was doing that, she vibe coded the sales page using Lovable and put it on a subdomain because she wanted to get it up while we were doing this project and wanted to get it live. Here's the problem. So instead of the URL being like yourwebsite.com/AI Dream Team, it's going to be aidreamteam.yourwebsite.com. And on the surface, it makes sense. It works. It's quick. It looks good. But here's what actually is happening. Every single one of those pages is building somebody else's authority, for one, and it's not actually helping her business website domain SEO authority. So I'm going to pause here, re-explain this to people in case this doesn't make sense, but I'm going to use my website name just to make it clear in the example. So my main website name is bypwdesigns.com. So that bypwdesigns.com is my main domain where I am building my authority online. It can be measured actually with a domain authority number, but that is what I'm building for organic search traffic. Every time I blog, every time I create a new page, every time I create a portfolio page, all of that authority is under the bypwdesigns.com website. If I create a subdomain and I'm calling it aidreamteam.bypwdesigns.com, in the URL, you would think as a business owner, like they're linked. I'm creating that same authority. Google understands it's the same company. So the AI Dream Team traffic is going to help my bypwdesigns.com website. It does not. It is a subdomain. It is separate authority. So if you're creating separate sales pages under subdomains and not under your primary domain, it can cause issues for SEO. And then it's like you're not even helping. Like, I don't know. It's just like, why would you more work harder for yourself? And it's definitely one of the biggest issues I'm seeing with vibe coding, especially for vibe coding platforms, because you want to get something up quick. You create a subdomain, great, you can see it. But now you've like segregated your authority between multiple platforms and multiple websites. So when subdomains work, if you're testing something quickly, if you need temporary pages, you don't have an existing SEO foundation, but when they're not good is when you're trying to grow your traffic, when a main site already exists, and when you want long-term visibility on your website, and when you do want organic search traffic. So let's simplify this too, because I don't want this episode to feel overwhelming, and I do want you to feel like you can use it. So I want it to be clear. Number one, you should separately build from strategy and let AI build the page, but to go back and prompt in or layer in SEO, structure, messaging, all kind of like separate from that, and double check it. You need to, before you build, ask, what is this page supposed to do? How am I going to rank for it? How is it going to convert individuals? What am I educating them on? And you need to prompt the AI web builder or coder specific around that information. And if you don't understand UX strategy, you're going to have to train it to train itself. You know how you like prompt to prompt in order to do that as you're vibe coding. And again, my biggest thing that I'm using it for is support, not strategy. So I am still the strategy. I am still the keyword researcher. AI is assisting me on coding because I don't know how to code to give interactive elements to web pages that I do not feel like have enough interactive elements. I don't know how else to say that. Or that has a web builder that's super restrictive that I can't do certain things. But again, I'm not using it and just trusting its work. I'm prompting it properly, literally telling it how to tag everything from a copy perspective, telling it the brand colors, telling it the schema markup, things that the average individual probably isn't going to know. So we either have to prompt it correctly to have the AI person know that person, not, you know what I mean, or don't use it, right? Unless you're just testing theories or marking up things or creating things for yourself that don't necessarily need to be found. And then my biggest recommendation here is if you are going to be vibe coding, make sure you're keeping everything under your main domain. If you want your website to grow, your content needs to live in one place, not scattered across subdomains. So you need to know your non-negotiables. Every page should have a clear title tag, meta description, 1H1, structured H2 is underneath, alt text. That's your baseline for vibe coding, right? AI isn't the problem, misusing it is. Vibe coding can build a beautiful website, but it has to be built strategically or it will not be foundable. It won't be found. This part still requires intention, clarity, decision-making, and similar to any other web builder, right? You can build it, but you have it to be able to be found because you want to understand what your website is doing. You do not want search to guess, right? So before I close this episode, I want you to do one thing. Go look at one page on your website and check. This is going to be your homework regardless. Is your title tag and meta description filled in? That is your SEO title and meta description. Do you have 1H1? And is your alt text filled in? If you look at your site and you realize that this goes deeper than one page and some of this stuff is not filled in, that's exactly what I help with. So head over to bypwdesigns.com and let's talk about your site and what it actually needs. And if this episode hits home, send to another business owner who is potentially thinking about vibe coding. And if you have questions about vibe coding, message me on Instagram. I'm happy to answer them. I would love to hear from you, and I love hearing when people are actually listening to my podcast. So please share it out. And until next time, I will keep on drinking your coffee, I guess. I don't know. I used to say something else at the end of podcasts. I guess I got to come up with something. So if you think of that, let me know as well. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Coffee and Conversions. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate every single person who listens. If this episode helped you think differently about your business, I'd love if you left a rating and review or shared it with a friend who is running a business alongside you because community is everything. It's the easiest way to help this podcast reach more women who want a strategy that actually works. You can find links, resources, and anything mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. For more tools, services, and behind-the-scenes strategy, head over to bypwdesigns.com. And if you want to peek into my real life, corporate job, mom life, running a business, and really just like the true me, you can find me at Instagram over at julie.pwdesigns, and I hang out there most days. Until next time, keep on building intentionally, and I will see you back here at Coffee and Conversions.